Hi, my name is Robin Wong and I have here the Olympus MC-20 2x teleconverter and I want to test this on the new Olympus 100-400 lens. Let's do this! This video is an extension to my previous Olympus 100-400 review, and if you haven't watched that review video, I'll put the link up here. Please watch it before you continue with this video. I will only be exploring how the Teleconverter MC-20 performs with this 100-400 lens in this video. To do this simple test, I'll attach the MC-20 to the Olympus 100-400 and I used the EM1 Mark III. I went to the Kuala Lumpur Bird Park to hunt for some birds. I'm not going to go deep into the rainforest. I'm a city person. I'm not going to get eaten by snakes. No, thank you. I'm staying safe. The Kuala Lumpur Bird Park is right in the middle of the city. Using the teleconverters on the Olympus 100-400 pose a few challenges. The first one being losing image stabilization effectiveness. Olympus claimed that without any use of teleconverters, you get effective 3 steps EV compensation. That is quite respectable. When you use MC-14, the 1.4 times teleconverter, the stabilization dropped to about 2 EV steps compensation. And if you use MC-20, the 2 times teleconverter, it further drops down to 1.5 EV steps only. That is a big challenge trying to stabilize the lens, but of course Olympus has always been very conservative when it comes to the image stabilization claims. I found myself being able to push and hand hold this lens at much slower shutter speeds. The second challenge, of course, is losing aperture brightness. As you attach the teleconverter, effectively the opening of the aperture is being slowed down. Say I'm using the MC-20 2 times teleconverter, instead of getting bright open f6.3 when I'm shooting at full telephoto and 400mm, I only get about f13. Shooting at f13 with about 1 step EV compensation from image stabilization, that is a huge challenge even when you're shooting under bright sunny conditions. It is always a challenge to shoot with a long lens. The longer the telephoto lens is, the more difficult it is to hand hold. I don't use long lenses a lot for my photography. For my professional jobs, I do use the Olympus 40-150 Pro, and even so, it is only about 50% of less of the time when I'm shooting weddings, events, or live stage performance. Therefore now, suddenly I have to hand hold the Olympus 100-400 at the 400 end, plus 2 times teleconverters, giving me 800mm focal length, and that's 1006mm equivalent in 35mm format. 1006mm, which I've never handheld before. It was insane. It was definitely not easy for me to use. Every minor shake, the micro movement of your hand is amplified. All the tiny shake is exaggerated. You can really see all the motion being shown on your images when you take them. So what I'm trying to say is, it is not something that I normally do, and I'm sure not a lot of you handle long lenses all the time, and coming from that background, when you use the 100-400 with the 2x teleconverter going all the way to the long end, it will be a big challenge for most people. Taking into considerations all the challenges that I've mentioned earlier, less effective image stabilization, losing aperture brightness, and of course the difficulty of hand-holding a 1600mm equivalent focal length, I found it quite miraculous that I came home with this many usable shots that I've been showing you in this video. I get about 50% hit rate. Typically it is not high. I would usually be disappointed if half of my shots were to be thrown away. Either they were out of focus, a lot of them were blurred because of movement, and even just that tiny bit of movement, not because of me, but because of the animal move a little bit. You know, birds are creatures and they're alive. They don't just stay still like a statue, right? So even tiny movements will cause a little bit of blur, and it's enough to destroy the image. And of course, I don't have the steadiest hands in the world. I mistakenly have drank 2 cups of coffee the morning before I took the shots. So it didn't really help me to have stable handheld shots for that bird park shooting session. But I did come home with about half of my shots still usable, still looking quite sharp, and I can still resolve plenty of details in my photographs using the Olympus MC-20 on this 100-400 lens. It goes without saying that attaching a teleconverter to a lens, you'll definitely experience image quality compromise. The question is, how much compromise? A lot of people also ask, how good is the teleconverter? That is not the right question to ask. What really matters is not the quality of the teleconverter. The teleconverter has very simplistic lens design. It is this tiny. What truly matters is the quality of the lens that you're attaching this teleconverter onto. That lens, if it has superior optical construction, if it can resolve massive amount of details, then by attaching another teleconverter, you still can get very sharp and usable image. The good news, the Olympus 100-400 is already a very sharp lens to begin with. I do have to admit that having the ability to reach 1600mm equivalent in focal length, that is truly incredible. Under bright sunny conditions, I can stay at low ISO numbers, ISO 200 to 400, but under shady conditions or less than ideal lighting conditions, if the bird stays under the leaf or heavy shade, then I will have to bump up my ISO to 1600 or 3200. That's where things start to fall apart. Do I recommend the use of the Olympus MC-20 teleconverter on the Olympus 100-400 lens? If you truly need the super long reach of 1600mm equivalent, then yes, this is the only combination that offers you that. Nothing else comes close at this moment if you're using micro four thirds system. You just have to be aware of all the challenges that comes with using the teleconverter, and if you can work within the limitations, I'm sure you can get fantastic results. That's all I have to share in this video. If you found my sharing useful, please consider buying me a cup of coffee, or you can donate directly to my PayPal account. I'll put the links in the descriptions below on how you can do that. Any small contribution can go a long way. It'll definitely help me to continue making videos like this and publish it right here. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to this channel if you've not already done so. And I'll definitely see you again in the next one. Until then, please go out and take more photographs if you can. And remember to stay safe and take care. Bye-bye.